Hey guys,
This is Ruby,
and Nicole.
and you're listening to She's All That.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to She's All That. We have some different topics that we're going to talk about today. Things like love and lust and initial attraction. And it's just going to be a little bit of a jumbled mess, but we're going to try to weave it together to make sense. So Ruby's going to start by sharing a little story. Go ahead.
Also, I just want to say, I think it took us like almost a year to finally have like a decent introduction. Not awkward and weird. So I want to say about a month ago, I downloaded a dating app because I was bored. I feel like every single time I've downloaded a dating app, it's only because I was bored.
Totally.
Yeah. And so it was actually funny story. Do you guys remember that? Well, Nicole, I was saying, do you guys remember? Like I'm with everyone. But Nicole, do you remember that Faith app that I thought it was Faith? Okay. So I like Googled and I was like, Christian dating apps, and the Faith app was not showing up. So I was like, oh, that's so strange. And there's a new Christian dating app. And I think it took over Faith. I don't really know.
Partnered with them or something.
Yeah. Cause Faith doesn't exist anymore. But the app that I use is called Upward. And I met this guy, a Christian guy, blonde hair, light skin. I think he was Italian actually. There's a reason why I'm saying his physical attributes. Really, he went to the Navy and then he's getting his master's, right? And he's only a couple years older, getting his master's in this, I think it was nuclear engineer. It was really intense stuff. And we went on this we went on a FaceTime date and it was 2 hours long and it was really good. And we talked a lot about God and we had really just lively conversations. And then we went on a date, in-person date, and our date was 5 hours because do not recommend doing this. I feel like this was a learning experience for me, but he was like, oh, let's get coffee and afterwards let's go get dinner. And so right off the bat, it was going to be a long date. And I feel like this was a lesson learned, just stick with one thing. And if it ends up going on and doing something else, then great. But there was already so much pressure, of needing to hang out for so long. Anyway, so our date was 5 hours long and we had really great conversations. But in the very end, and he had so many qualities that I've been praying in a partner, but at the end of the day, I just was not attracted to him. I didn't find him cute, nothing. And so I'm kind of curious, Nicole, what you think about initial attraction and if that plays a huge role for you, or because it was really hard to I was wrestling with it.
So I have a story myself. It's yours times 100. So I dated this guy in college.
Oh, yes.
You remember this guy?
Yes.
And actually, I was never attracted to him, even throughout the course of the whole dating experience. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just looking back, it's so bad. So I was never attracted to him, but he had a really great personality and everyone was telling me he's such a good guy. He's so nice. And a lot of people had said, attraction will grow. Attraction will grow. As you date somebody, your attraction for them will grow. Right. And so I listened and I said, okay, my attraction will grow. It never grew. A month in, it was not growing. There was nothing there. And to me personally, and I would say for everybody, I don't want to make a blanket statement for everyone, but you have to be attracted to them. Even if they're attractive, but I don't think they're the hottest person ever. That's still fine because eventually once you fall in love with them and you are dating them, you're going to think they're the hottest person ever,
Mm-hmm.
But you can't literally be ugh, gross, no. And then it's going to automatically flip a switch and you're going to think he's so hot. That's just, I don't believe that's possible. Maybe for some people, but for me, Like, I won't even go, like, I just am like, nope, I have to be attracted, because after that learning experience, like, nope, I'm not going with anyone I'm not attracted to.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think too, like after dealing with all that and just like wrestling with it, I was like, okay, I I do not agree with the whole attraction grows, just because like the looks will never change. You know, like I feel like love, like you grow in love, right? Like you might not love someone, but eventually that grows, right? But like that's something that's never gonna, your physical attributes are never gonna change. But like your maturity, your personality, your mental, you know, like your spiritual, that's going to change, obviously, right? And that can grow. And I feel like because those things are so, those things can change, you can grow in that, in those areas when you love someone. But in reality, I feel like that's just the way you look, right? Like God can change your character, God can change certain aspects of your life, but you can't really change the way that you look.
I see, and I agree with you. Like, you can't change the way, I mean, I guess you can, like, you can go change your hair color and whatnot and get Botox, but like, I think though, you do grow in your attraction to somebody as you fall in love with them, because I think people's personalities make them more beautiful or less beautiful people, you know? And I think the more you fall in love with someone and the more you grow to get to know somebody, the more beautiful you think they are. Because I even have friends like that. I'm like, gosh, they're beautiful. Like, she's gorgeous. And other people like will be like, really? I mean, yeah, she's pretty, but I don't think she's like the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my life. But I'm like, yeah, but she's amazing. Like, I just think the personality speaks volumes. It makes you fall in love more, you know, like that grows the attraction.
Yeah. I think too, like Nicole, and just your situation, I feel like you really forced it. I think there's like a difference between like, okay, you know, liking someone and finding someone cute. But then I think in your situation, it was like, well, he's really nice, so I have to, or he's everything, you know, like for me, this guy was like, he would open the door for me and we talked about God and he had a really strong relationship with him. And he was so respectful, so honoring, you know, it was just total different. Always apologize when he because actually, can I share this? I like texted him and I was like, hey, this is actually not going to work out. Like I was just honest with him and was like, I'm trying to connect with this community. And, you know, I think right now on my plate, like what I really want to work on is like really finding a community in London and just like my friendships. And that's like really what I want to focus. Well,
is he not from Linden, or it doesn't?
No, I think he lived in Everett, but he was here for winter break. And then he was going to go back to Indiana. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. To finish his master's. I think he like graduates in like May or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, and so I texted him, I was just like really honest with him. Well, he like called me twice right after I sent the text message. And then he texted me right after. And he was like, I just think that we had a really great connection and just like going off. And like, I think I might be misunderstanding and we should just like go on another date to like try these things out. And then he like texted me. I was like, oh my word. Like, I already said no. I don't know. To me, that was frustrating. I don't know if you would feel frustrated, but I was like, I've already said no. I'm not here for you to like convince me why we need to go on a second or on a third date, right?
Yes.
But then I totally ignored it. But then the next day I was like, in the morning, I was like, I will call you when I have time later today, because I wanted him to respect me and honor me. And then when I called him, he like the first thing he did was apologize by the way he acted. And it was really inappropriate. And to me, that was like, how many times do you like actually see a guy like take ownership and apologize for their, you know, and that's a quality that I've prayed for in a guy. So I don't know why I was telling you that. There was like something we were talking about. Anyway, so yeah, things that I was like praying that he had, and it was like so great to like witness, but just the physical part just was not there. I was gonna ask though, Nicole, what do you think about connection or like spark or like chemistry? What's your opinion on that?
I feel like that's a broad question. The spark thing, I think, is like BS, to be honest.
Oh
like,
my word. I'm so glad you said that. I agree.
I don't think honestly, that's such a like made up romantic comedy thing. Like, oh my gosh, we had a spark. Like, what?
I know.
If you marry someone because you love them and you want to do life with them, not because you have a random spark. Like, I don't get that. Like, I've never felt a spark. And actually, no, I take this back. This is going to perfectly go into our next bullet point.
Okay, but before you do that, I want to say something about the spark, but go.
Okay, yes. But I think you get sparks when it's lust. I think when you are feeling very lustful and you're like lusting after someone, there's sparks. I think when you're actually going through like dating and like seriously finding a life partner that's not based on lust but love, I don't necessarily think there's sparks.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I agree. As always, I agree with your opinion. No, I agree. I feel like with the sparks, you're just expecting something that you might not ever feel, you know? So you already have like unrealistic expectations with that spark, you know? So then you go on a date or a few dates and you're like, well, I'm not feeling the spark. And it's like, well, like, do you even know you're supposed to experience that? Like, who even said that you experience a spark when you fall in love, right? Like, I think that's kind of like what you said, is just like the movies, but also a spark isn't going to sustain your marriage or anything like that. Like, the looks are going to fade. So in the end of the day, their character and your actual love for them is what's going to sustain and keep your marriage going. So the very end, I feel like there are a lot of broken marriages and divorce because they think that it was chemistry and connection, and that's why they should have gotten married. And in reality, like, that connection, that chemistry, or that spark isn't gonna fulfill your marriage in the end. Yeah, I think.
I totally agree with you. And I think too, like, I don't know if you've ever been in relationships or dating someone, Ruby, that you felt like, wow, that definitely was centered around lust. Because for me, I know I have had that happen for sure, where there's been situations that are definitely centered around lust rather than love. And I didn't realize it at the time because I was mistaking lust for love. But now looking back, I know.
Oh, yeah. That has actually, I experienced that. And it was like a learning experience because I was like, wow, looks honestly can skew, like, it makes you think you have this like amazing connection when in reality, you really don't. Like, you don't see clearly, you know, like kind of like I don't know if you have this rule, but for me, my rule when I go on dates, like on the first few dates, like, it's fine if we drink, but I will not drink more than like 2 drinks, like 2, like, actually, I don't probably only have 1 margarita, not 2 margaritas, because you don't see clearly, right? You don't see the person that clearly. I feel like going out and like getting a whole bunch of like drinking so much on a first or second date is the stupidest thing you can do, because kind of like looks like, or lust, you don't see that person clearly at all, right? And so I feel like it just really skews your way of thinking. You think you have just such an amazing connection when in reality you don't.
Yes. And I think too, like from personal experience, I can say when you introduce the physical part of a relationship too soon, like let's say on the first date, you're already introducing physical stuff into your relationship, I just feel like you're setting yourself up for failure, because when you introduce the physical part, I don't even know, I might be making this up, but I feel like chemical stuff in your brain changes. And I think your vision is so clouded of someone. Like, you fall for someone quicker, I think, when the physical part is introduced oftentimes. And then you start to like put on those rose colored glasses and not see clearly. And I just know that's happened for me. And looking back, I'm like, gosh, like, how could I have ever mistaken that for love? How could I have ever mistaken him for marriage quality? Like, I literally, it was because I introduced the physical part too soon in a relationship, and because I was wearing rose colored glasses, you know, and it's because I was lusting after someone. And so I just think that's so like dangerous. But Ruby, like, what do you think? Like, how do you set boundaries? Like, what do you think about the physical part? Because it's important. Like, you have to have chemistry. You have to have, you know, some sort of physical part to your relationship. You want to be attracted to them. It's just like hard.
Yeah. Well, kind of connecting to that, this was like my struggle is like, I feel like there is a wrong, this is my opinion, right? So everyone's going to think, I think there definitely is a wrong way of dating, but I don't think there's like a right way of dating. dating is just like so different. You know, some of us, like the first date, like we can be just so honest. You're so comfortable with that person that you can just like share so much about yourself, you know?
Right.
But then others are like, no, I really wanted to just be really lively the first couple dates, and then we can move on to the more emotional thing, you know? But I think with physical, I totally agree with you, Nicole, that when you introduce that, and I've done that, it just ruins it. I feel like you view that person in that way only. And I think even when you say you don't see that person clearly because you think you have more of a connection than you do just because you enjoy that. Doing those things, you obviously are enjoying it. So then I feel like kind of like what you said, like you don't see that person clearly, and it kind of, but I don't know when it's an appropriate time because I've never, like, I've been in a serious relationship, but that was when I was in high school. So I feel like it's so, it's not the same in high school versus now as an adult. Like I wouldn't even know when I would even be talking about that.
Yeah.
Or
it's hard. Like, and it's so dependent on you, the person you're with, how you are as a person. I just think like there's this quote I wrote down, and I love this quote because to me, it's like such a great way of also like weeding out bad guys. But it says she fell in love with his soul. You could do it either way. He fell in love with her soul or whatever before she could even touch his skin. I'm going to read it one more time. She fell in love with his soul before she could even touch his skin. I don't know why I love that. That's how it should be. The physical part of a relationship is like, yeah, it's important, but truly like that's just the cherry on top. That's just like you get to enjoy this because you love the person. But really, they're the one you're going to be in the freaking trenches with the rest of your life, like doing the hard work, you know, like doing life together. Like truly, I think sometimes as a society and like just in general in movies and TV shows, like we romanticize like lust, you know? I mean, I know you don't watch The Bachelor, but with Claire, she saw Dale and was like, I think I just met my husband. And then 3 months later, they're broken up because all of that engagement they had was based on lust. It wasn't based on similar belief systems, what they want out of life, the same goals. Like it was lust.
They ended the Bachelor. I think that's what I remember. Like, I don't, like you said, I don't watch it, but I think I saw that like they ended it, right?
Well, like they ended the show early after like 2 weeks, knew him for 2 weeks. And
then they broke up,
got engaged, and then broke up like 3 months later. And it just, to me, like that was a very clear example of lust. You know, I mean, how can you see someone and know that you're in love? No one can see me because it's a podcast, but I'm putting quotation marks, in love with somebody after 2 weeks. You know,
you don't see all of their traits. You don't see how God has created them to be and like what you can actually admire and any of that. And I don't think too, like you always have to think when you're dating someone, like, is this person bringing out the most attractive qualities in me? And you don't see that in just 2 weeks.
And they had to introduce the physical part of their relationship soon too. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if that also clouded her judgment. I just feel like that was such a great example for all of America to see of love versus lust.
Yes. But I think in general, just in movies, you never see that, like the relationship being built. And I think it's because it's only like a 2-hour thing, right? A movie. And it's so sad. But that's why I hate musicals and I hate movies too. But have you heard of La La Land?
Oh yeah.
It's a musical. Do not like it, but I love the ending because they end up, it's like the only movie that I feel like they don't end up together. They go and they follow their dreams and they realize like their personalities and what they want out of life does not align. And so they weren't going to be able to support each other. And so they, as much as they loved each other, they didn't force that. And I loved it because I was like, this is so realistic. Like, this is what it should be like, right? Like, not that you should be choosing your dreams, but like, if you're not compatible, if you have different personalities, and I'm not saying like, if you guys haven't read the book Defining Decade, you really should. But it talks about your personality, and it's not like, oh, like loud and or introvert and extrovert. It really is like how you view the world, and how you respond and the way that you communicate and how you handle situations and stuff like that. It plays a huge role in how you guys will connect. And if you're going to be in a healthy relationship, you know?
And to piggyback off what you were saying with them going separate directions, I feel like that is the hardest like breakup ever, is when you love each other still, but you have to go different directions because that's just the way things are going. Like someone's moving or you're realizing you're just not headed in the same direction. That sucks. Like that to me is the worst of the worst, because you're still in love, but you still have to, or you still have such strong feelings for someone, but you're not going to be headed in the same direction. But honestly, the biggest thing that has gotten me through all of that is always reminding myself, whatever is for me will not miss me. Like whatever is for me will never miss me, because God has it all under control. He knows what he's doing. And if that wasn't for me, then it missed me. That's why it missed me, because it wasn't for me. So something else that's for me is going to get me, that always helps me. But that is cool. I didn't know that about that movie. I didn't know that's how it ended.
It's really, I hate the movie though. Like there's just way too much singing.
I know. I'm not
like I would just honestly fast forward just to see the ending for you. Like that's what I do with every movie. But I do have a question for you, Nicole. I'm really curious.
Yes.
I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about like married couples. Like, so we're not thinking about like relationships. Okay. We're actually, you're married. Okay. And you're committed to this person. How do you feel about them? Like having really close friends with the opposite sex? Like they go be honest, like they go hang out. They're really close. They, what do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Okay. So I've dated someone of each type. I've dated a guy who did have a lot of friends that were girls and did hang out with them. And some of them were married to other people. Some of them were single, whatever. Right. And then I've dated somebody who doesn't really have any friends that are girls. And I mean, to be honest, I obviously would prefer the guy that doesn't have a bunch of friends that are girls, right? Like that's ideal. In a perfect world, I would trust my husband enough that it wouldn't bother me. And truly, like I am I'm pretty secure in like my decision making and who I am and in the relationships I have with people. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me a ton. But if he gave me a reason for it to raise concern, it would bother me. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if it's literally just, oh, you're going out to dinner, you guys have been great friends, like whatever, that's fine. Like I have a guy friend here that we go on walks all the time with, and it would really bother me if his girlfriend didn't want him to walk with me or go to dinner with me, because we're just friends. We've always just been friends. Or like if someone came into my life, that's just my personality, I'd be like, hell no, buddy. Like he was my friend way before you came into the picture. Like you can't tell me what to do, But so I guess honestly, I'm fine with it as long as it's not something that makes me feel insecure or like raises any sort of concern. But if it's just a friend, I don't see the issue.
Gotcha.
I don't know. What do you think?
Okay. Good point. Totally see your point. For me, I guess like, and I really don't think it's jealousy at all when I say this. I would just be uncomfortable with the fact. And it's not because even if they don't give me a reason, I just think like, I don't know, like, I know you said you have one friend, but like how often do you usually pursue friendships like with the opposite sex? It's not often, right? You usually pursue friendships with the same sex. Like that's just totally normal, And I just feel like you obviously have to have those like clear conversations and have like the same intentions, right? And have that conversation, because I feel like maybe like for me, if I was married and I was hanging out with this guy, like to me, I'd be like, well, it's obvious we would never pursue anything, but I don't know about the other guy, right? Like we've never had that conversation. But at the same time, like the way that you connect with your partner, you're vulnerable. With my husband, like he's going to know everything about me. And so I feel like you have to set those boundaries if you do end up. I would just be, and it's not that I'm like, I feel like I'm just saying this because like I would be really jealous. I wouldn't. Like, it's not that. It's just that like you're connecting with someone on a different level. And I just don't think it's really appropriate. That's what I think. I just don't think it's appropriate. Right. When you're married, have kids, you should be going to your partner. And if not, then you should be going to like a mentor or someone, I don't think you should be going, I don't know. I understand that. And I mean, like I said,
truly, I would prefer, obviously, the man that doesn't have a bunch of friends that are girls. Like, that's not an ideal situation at all. I didn't love that about that guy I was seeing. Like, that was definitely not something that I was like, woohoo, this is exciting, you know, but it was something
new.
Yeah, this is great and new and fun. Like, you're going to go have dinner with her. Yay. You know, like, obviously that wasn't the case, but I think, I just think it's all about the guy's character, though. Like, if you know his character, then that changes everything. Because if he's like, obviously doesn't have a great character and is kind of like icky, then obviously you shouldn't be with him in the first place. But then it would be more questionable. If you know that he's like a man of God, he makes good decisions, he loves you, he's never given you a reason to worry, then there's no reason to worry. But I don't know. I see it both ways, like, honestly. Okay, my question for you, Ruby, before we finish up, I want to revisit the conversation we've had about types, because you told us about, at the beginning of this podcast, how you weren't attracted to him, right? So clearly you have some sort of type if you weren't attracted to a certain type, because in the past you've said, I don't really have a type. Like, I've dated so many different kinds of guys, been attracted to so many different kinds of guys, but I am going to challenge you, Ruby, to think more specifically, because I'm going to give you an example. You said, well, I've dated so many guys with different hair colors, skin colors, eye colors, and I found a lot of them attractive. That's fine, right? But you could have a more specific type in a different way. Like me, I've dated so many different kinds of looking guys too, right? Like, so many different skin colors, eye colors, hair colors. I don't care what your skin or hair or eyes is. Like, I could be attracted to anybody that's attractive. But I want you to think,
anyone that's cute, I'm going to be attracted to.
Probably. I mean, but I want to know, like, more specifically, like, is there something that you've noticed, like a pattern that you have, like, realized you're attracted to? Do you want me to give you my example of mine that I've noticed?
Okay. Can I first, like, share something about, like, a type before you, like, so that I go,
tell me.
So for me, I guess I say don't like to say I have a type, because I feel like you're just putting someone in a, and I'm not saying that you do this, because I haven't seen you do that, because you have, like, different, I think of your dating history, and it's just different. It's pretty diverse. You've sprinkled in some diversity, and I would agree with myself too.
Sprinkle in some diversity.
You're dating, which is really great.
Yeah, we definitely sprinkle in some diversity over here, ladies.
But I just feel like when I think of, like, when someone, okay, so I'm not saying this about us, but I've seen it in other girls. We're like, well, I have a type. And so they put their future spouse or the person they're going to date in, like, a box. And then they, like, overlook the most important stuff, like their character. Yeah. Does that make sense? So, like, well, this person doesn't have these qualities, so I'm not going to go on a date with them. When in reality, like, the green eyes isn't going to treat you with honor and respect, right?
Totally.
Or like, the color of his skin isn't going to make a difference if he loves God and he's going to, you know, be able to lead your family and protect you. Right. And so that's why I guess I say I don't have a type, because I don't want to be the type that I've seen others have done, like, just put them in a box and then that's it. That's why I say that. But give me your example.
Okay. Here's my example. I don't care about hair, skin, whatever, height, like, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. But what I do have noticed is, like, I think of my sister who's engaged. Her fiance is, like, hunts, fishes, like, military, very manly man, right? Like, I like manly men, whatever. Of course I do. But that is not my type. I would never really be attracted or want to date somebody that, like, hunts and fishes and is camping all the time. Like, that's just not my thing. Like, I like bougie guys that, like, are work in business and, like, wear, like, button down shirts every day. Like, that's my type. Like, every guy I've ever dated has been like that. I've never dated, like, a super, like, well, I did in high school, that one country boy shooting guns. We know how that went. Okay,
that's what you know you didn't want to date.
that was the moment when I flipped a switch and I went for the, like, posh, bougie, like, business majors. No, I'm kidding. But
I love how we feed off of each other.
That's definitely more my type.
Okay. don't know if this is going to answer your question, Nicole, but for me, I guess if I listen to country music, I'm just like, I'm really like feeling the music. So I really want to date a country boy. I just love that. But then when I'm listening to like Mexican music or like reggaeton, like more Spanish music, that's when I want to marry like a Latino guy. And
so it depends on your song choice that day is what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense.
I just honestly gotta like think back. I'm like, I don't even know who I would want to date.
So you want to date a Hispanic country boy?
Well, that's what my roommate Karen was saying too. Like, but I don't think so. I don't even know, Nicole. Like, I literally, to be completely honest with you, I still don't know if I have a type. Like, think about the guys I've dated. I feel like it's even like the things that like they like to do. It's just, it's been so diverse, different.
Yeah.
You know, like it would be nice because to be completely honest with you, like I wouldn't, like honestly, I would not mind if he ended up working in like, I don't know, like even their job, like I'd be like, as long as you're making money and the big bucks, like I'm good. Like
as long as you're making the big bucks.
You know, so if that's like, you end up like working in construction, which, well, actually construction workers do make quite a bit, but like, I don't think they'll make, I don't know, Nicole. I'm struggling with this. I need to think about it.
That's okay. Come back next week and you can give us a more clear. I'm just like needing some direction here and I'm just never getting it. So
why?
It's like,
have you? Oh, I was like, wow, have you met some guys that might be potential here for me?
I'm looking, but I'm just like, I don't even know because one minute you want a little like soccer player guy. And then the next minute you want like this tall country boy chopping wood in the woods. And then the next minute you want like a teacher. And I'm just like, what is going on here? There's like no common denominator I've ever seen. No. Like there's absolutely not even one thing I can pinpoint other than they have to be male and Christian. That's the only thing I've ever noticed. That's the only common denominator, which, you know what? That's good. Like, I like that. Like, keep your options open. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's just interesting how some people have types, some people don't. Like, I don't know. I just find that fascinating. And then you think too, like people, like, have you ever noticed a certain kind of guy likes you or no? Like I've noticed, I feel like I attract a certain type of guy more than like other types. Like, you know? Well, like when I lived in Bellingham, I never attracted anybody because those kind of guys didn't like me. Like they were like hipsters. Like I definitely attract the like gym going type guy, you know?
Okay.
I don't attract a lot of white guys. Like never have. I don't think they like me. I don't know. I just, like I definitely,
I don't think I've ever like, I don't think there's, for me personally, I think I've already even told you this. I've never attracted black guys. Like other races and stuff like that or different cultures, yes. But I've never had like a black guy come up to me, ask me on a date. Like it doesn't sound, I'm really sorry if that sounds really weird to say, you know.
I don't think that sounds weird. That's an observation or a thing in your life. Like I just said the same thing about white guys. White guys never come up to me ever. They never ask me on dates. I've never even really dated a white guy because they never pursue me. And I'm fine with that. I don't care. Like I really just like them in all shades. But if they're a cute man, like bring them my way. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like that's just never the way the chips have fallen for me. And that's okay. But that's just like a pattern I've noticed. So
But I will say like lately, when I downloaded that dating app with the whole say the guy's name, it was like I think it was like a month or 2 months ago. And I got so lazy with it. Like I was bored one night, so I downloaded it, and then it took me like I want to say almost like a week to actually get on it, if that makes sense, and like do some and look through it. And that's when I noticed the guy because he like messaged me a couple times. But
was it like a decent amount of people on there?
This is what's frustrating. Like majority of them were like 200 miles away.
Oh.
And you can't this app you can't change the what's it called? The
limit,
the distance.
Yeah. I was gonna say the speed limit. I'm like, no, that ain't it.
The distance. Okay. You know. But I really did feel bad because I was like, wow, like I did not have a pure heart, pure intentions. And I pretty much hurt a guy, like,
Right.
and that's on me because I did it out of boredom. And I was trying to fulfill something that was giving me temporary happiness. Yeah. Or satisfaction.
Yeah.
And so I don't recommend the app. Also, I wasn't really into any of the guys, as always.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Canadians, though.
Oh,
They
really?
live really close to the border.
That's interesting. Maybe you could do a little Canadian action, eh? Oh my god!
I sprinkle in some more diversity.
Sprinkle in a little more nationalities in there.
Nationalities.
Sprinkle it in.
Yes.
Porque no. This is your Happy Valentine's from Ruby and Nicole. We hope that you enjoy it, whether you're single or married or in a relationship or whatever. Know that you're loved by God, by us, by others, and
yourself.
And yourself, because you're all that.
Self-love. Yes, for sure.
And we just hope that you guys have a great Valentine's or Galentine's or whatever you are celebrating.
Yes, for sure. And don't forget to tell your loved ones that you love them too.
For sure.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gents.
Besos.
Bye.